We are going to be covering every single ranged weapon in New World, from bows to staffs to muskets to gauntlets, and we're even going to be covering the new weapons when they come out, so make sure to subscribe for more New World content. No matter which weapon that you decide to go with, you're going to have to decide how to spend your attribute points. This is because every weapon benefits from a specific attribute. If you open up your attribute screen and you look next to the attribute names, you're going to see a list of icons. Each icon is going to represent a different weapon. These are the weapons that are going to benefit from that specific attribute. If you scroll over the question mark, it's going to show you whether this is a primary attribute or a secondary attribute. Primary attributes are going to benefit the weapon more than secondary attributes. It's really going to vary from weapon to weapon, but from what I've seen, the primary attributes are about 30% more effective than the secondary attributes. As you use a weapon, it's going to gain XP, and that XP is going to go towards your weapon level. For every level that you go up, you're going to gain a point that you can put towards skills in that weapon's categories. Don't worry too much about spending points on the wrong skill, because up to weapon level 10, you can respec that weapon for free. So don't be afraid to experiment a little bit. Let's dive into the weapons. We're going to start off with something a little bit unexpected. This is hatchets and spears. These are both melee weapons, but if you spec into the right skill trees, you can actually throw them. The hatchet's going to primarily scale with strength, and then it has dexterity as its secondary attribute. Spec into the throwing skill tree, and you'll be able to use 3 abilities that are going to throw your hatchet. Your primary attacks are still going to be melee though. The first ability you get is Rending Throw, which is going to do big damage and makes the enemy you hit take more damage for 10 seconds. The next ability you're going to get is Social Distancing. When you use this ability, you throw your axe and jump backwards at the same time. This attack is going to do bigger damage than Rending Throw and also slow the targets that you hit. The final ability you're going to get is Infected Throw. This does the biggest damage of the 3 abilities, weakens the target's attack damage, and also reduces the amount that the target is healed if it receives any heals. All these abilities are going to throw as soon as you press their key, so you're going to want to make sure you're on target when you activate them. Each of these abilities has a 15-second cooldown timer, so you're only going to be able to use it about once every fight, and none of them do headshot damage, so just hit the target wherever you can. If you're looking for a fast-paced hybrid-style gameplay, the hatchet might be the right option for you. The spear is going to primarily scale with dexterity and has strength as its secondary attribute. Just like the hatchet, your primary attacks are still going to be melee. Unlike the hatchet, you only have one skill that throws the spear. This is Javelin, which is going to do big damage and stagger the target. Unlike the hatchet, with the Javelin, you can actually hold down this ability to aim it. If you headshot the target, it's going to do increased damage. You can also take another skill that's going to make this ability knock down the enemy when you hit them. It's going to have a 15-second cooldown, so make sure to use it wisely. If you want to be primarily melee focused with ranged here or there, the Javelin might be a good option. Okay, it's time to get into the full ranged weapons. If you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to like the video, or else you're going to be cursed to miss all of your ranged shots. That was stupid. We are going to start with the bow and the musket. If you decide to run either of these weapons, you're going to have to stock up on ammo. The musket uses cartridges, which is basically just fancy bullets, and the bow uses, well, arrows. You can buy these from the trade center or craft them yourself at the workshop to up your engineering skill. The better material your ammo is made out of, the more damage your weapon's going to do. If you manage to hit a headshot on your enemies, these weapons are going to do about 20% more damage. The bow is a quick-firing weapon that benefits only from dexterity. It can be fired from the hip or aimed down sights. If you're aiming down sights, it's going to do a significant amount more damage. With the bow, you're going to have 6 skills that you can craft your playstyle with. From the skirmisher tree, you can unlock the evade shot skill, which is going to cause you to leap back and do extra damage. You can headshot with this ability for even more damage. You can also unlock rain of arrows. This is going to be an AoE attack that hits everyone inside of it for big damage. Lastly, we're going to have Poison Shot. This is going to create a cloud of poison that does small damage for 20 seconds. Moving over to the Hunter skill tree, we're going to have Penetrating Shot. This is not only going to do big damage, but it's also going to pass through enemies so you can hit multiple at once. You can actually hit multiple headshots with this if you line it up right. You're also going to have Splinter Shot, which shoots an arrow that splits into 3, hitting for small damage. This can hit multiple targets, but you can only hit a single target with one of these arrows, so it's not going to be great if you're only fighting one enemy. The last bow ability that we're going to look at is Rapid Shot. This is going to shoot out 3 arrows really quickly. The first 2 are going to hit for normal damage, and the last shot does big damage and knocks the opponent back. You can hit headshots with all 3 of these arrows. The bow is really good for a kiting playstyle and can be really fun if you get creative with its abilities. On the other hand, we're going to have the musket. This is going to be a slow firing weapon that hits really hard. Its primary attribute is dexterity and its secondary is intelligence. You can aim down sights with it, but it's not going to increase your damage like it would with the bow. However, you are going to be able to hit headshots that are going to do extra damage. You're also going to get extra damage on headshots for any of the abilities that require aiming. After each shot you take with the musket, you're going to have to reload, which causes you to move slowly. You can still dodge, but it's going to reset the reload timer. The musket has 6 abilities, 3 of which are done while reloading to increase the effectiveness of your next shot. You're not able to stack these reloadable abilities, so you have to use them one at a time. Pulling from the sharpshooter category, we're going to have power shot. This is one of the reload abilities that I was talking about that's going to make your next shot hit for 150% damage. If you go with the powder burn ability, you're also going to get a reload shot that does 110% weapon damage and burns the enemy every second for 9 seconds. The final ability in the sharpshooter category is Shooter's Stance. This one is interesting because once you activate it, you actually can't move. Shots are going to do normal damage, but you reload extremely quickly for 3 shots. You can apply a reload ability before taking your stance, but once you're in the stance, you can't use any of your other abilities. If you do this, the reload ability is only going to apply for that first shot. If you need to, you can break your stance before the 3 shots are up by right-clicking. This is going to get you out of any sticky situations and help you not waste your ammo. Moving over to the tracker side, you can take traps. This is going to throw a trap on the ground that's going to immobilize enemies that step on it for 3 seconds. The final reload ability for your musket is Stopping Power. This is not only going to do increased damage, but it's also going to knock back enemies when you hit them. The final musket ability is Sticky Bomb. This is going to throw a bomb that sticks. It doesn't matter what you hit, it'll stick to enemies or surfaces, and then it's going to blow up after 3 seconds. When it blows up, it's going to do huge damage to any of the enemies that are near the bomb. The musket is an interesting weapon because with its slow movement, you're going to have to get really creative with your abilities while you're trying to kite enemies around. Alright, it's time for some magic. If you're still here and you haven't liked the video already, just like it, alright? As of right now, there are 3 magic weapons in the game. I'm gonna save my favorite for last. Every magic weapon is gonna rely on mana, and none of them get extra damage for hitting headshots. If you click your mouse, you're gonna do a short, normal attack, but if you hold it down, the attack is gonna increase its damage by about 40%. This is gonna take longer to fire and also use a bit more mana. Looking at the fire staff, the skill trees are Pyromancer and Fire Mage. Pulling from the Fire Mage tree is gonna give you Pillar of Fire. This is a targeted small AoE spell that does big damage. Meteor Shower is going to be a channeled ability, which means that you have to stand still while you're using it. This is an AoE spell that does small damage every second that the enemies stand in it. The final skill that you can unlock in the Fire Mage tree is Fireball. This is an aimed attack that does big damage and lights the ground on fire around it. Any enemies that are standing in the fire are going to take damage while they're standing in it. If you want to pull some skills from the Pyromancer tree, you're going to have access to Flamethrower, which shoots short-range flames out of the tip of the staff, doing small damage to everybody who's inside of it. It's also going to set them on fire for damage over time. The Incineration ability is going to create a ring of fire around you that pushes enemies away and does damage, and it's also going to set them on fire. Burnout is my personal favorite of the Fire Staff abilities. This ability is going to cause you to dash forward, doing damage to everyone that you hit. It's also going to burn them, which is damage over time. This burn is more effective than just setting enemies on fire itself. The Fire Staff is one of the most versatile weapons in New World. You can kite enemies around, do short range damage, or if you just want to sit in the back and cast AoE spells, you can do that too. Basically, whatever you want to do, the Fire Staff is capable of it. The Life Staff is the only weapon that's standing between you and my favorite weapon in New World. It's also the only weapon in the game that's going to benefit from the focus attribute. Hopping into the Protector skill tree, and it's going to offer you Orb of Protection. This is an aimed attack that does big damage, but also if you hit a teammate, it's going to attach to them and reduce incoming damage. You also are going to have access to Beacon, which is another aimed attack. This is an aimed attack that's going to do big damage to enemies. It's also going to attach to them and heal any of the friendlies that are near that enemy. You can also take Light's Embrace. This is just a really big heal, and it actually heals for a significant amount more for each buff that is on the friendly target that you decide to heal. You're going to be able to cycle through enemies with the scroll wheel, or if you want to heal yourself, just press the control key. The healing spec is going to give you Divine Embrace. This is a big targeted heal with a really short cooldown. Sacred Ground is an AoE healing ability that's going to heal all of the allies that are standing inside of it for a small amount for every second that they're inside of it. And the last Light Staff ability that you're going to go over is Splash of Light. This is going to heal you and all group members within 100 meters for 50% weapon damage. If you're one of those people that likes healing, then the life staff's the weapon for you. Lastly, we're going to cover the Ice Gauntlet. For those of you that know me from Spellbreak, you know that the Ice Gauntlet was my favorite weapon in that game too. This weapon is going to scale with dexterity, and it's going to offer you the closest thing that you're going to get to a pet in New World. The builder tree offers you the Ice Pylon. This is going to target nearby enemies, dealing damage to them and helping tank their attacks. The Ice Shower ability is going to create a curtain of ice that roots enemies in place for 1 second and slows them for 3 seconds after that. The third ability in the builder category is going to be Entombed. This is going to encase you in ice for 10 seconds for which you're going to be invulnerable, and you're going to regen mana really quickly. You can leave the ice by right clicking, or you can explode out of the ice by left clicking. This is going to do damage to nearby enemies. It's also going to knock them back, but it's going to use a good chunk of your mana. Under the Ice Tempest category, we are going to have Ice Spike. This is going to shoot out a trail of ice, which will do small damage to an enemy, but if you hit them with a large spike, it's going to do big damage. The large spike is going to happen automatically after it travels a certain distance, or you can trigger it by clicking the left mouse button. You can also get the Ice Storm ability, which is an AoE attack which does small damage over time and also slows the enemies that are inside of it. Wind Chill is a short range attack that does damage, pushes enemies away from you, and hits even harder if they're at the max range of the attack. To me, the Ice Gauntlet feels like the ultimate kiting weapon. Let me know which range weapon you decide to go with. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more New World content. My name is Marcus, aka Apostle. Thanks for watching.